Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by my good friend Kevin Ducey. You got that Boston feeling?
Yeah, we're shipping off to Boston, baby. Team heads out that way tomorrow. It feels so good to make it to this point in the season for, man. It's hard to, dude. I was 26 years old.
You were just a young man.
It was, I mean, and it was something that was pretty normal in my lifetime that we made Sweet 16s. It wasn't an aberration. It wasn't abnormal up to that point in my life. It's what Illinois basketball did. We had a little bit of a dark run in the early mid-90s after the Deion Thomas fiasco, but we were still a relevant team. You know, we had a bad team that almost made the NCAA tournament with Lon Kruger, and then all of a sudden, from 97 to 06, we won 75% of our games, man. I mean, 01 1 seed, 05 1 seed, 04 Sweet 16 beating Cincinnati. I mean, it was just like we had teams and we made runs, and it's nice because I do think this is sustainable. I know that there's some guys out there, there's some folks out there that will think like, hey, is this sustainable because we're going to have to replace most of our starting lineup. I do think I think it's sustainable because I think Brad Underwood has proven he's a portal master. So just super excited, man. It's a level of relief. I do believe we're playing with house money. I really think if we can find a way to win on Thursday, that's the epitome of playing with house money. I mean, because most likely you're going to get UConn, who most people think is probably the best team in college basketball, and I can't argue with them. So we'll see. I think that we'll get into breaking down Iowa State, but it was just a great weekend of basketball. I think the team really stepped up. It was a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun in that, the Morehead State game, had us a little bit nervous there with a 1-point lead at halftime, and then we just went and handled business against Duquesne and just took them out the game from the beginning. So.
Oh yeah, so we'll go down. We'll talk a little bit of Morehead State, and we'll talk about Duquesne. But let me just tell you, so 39-38 against Morehead State. I know you were probably a little anxious. I was definitely anxious because I'm thinking, I will tell you, Morehead State, very good team. Very good team. Like, I think Preston's
love their coach.
Their coach, dude, I'm telling you what, I will be shocked in 3 years if he's not at a Power 6 school.
I'd take him over a lot of these guys that are getting hired right now. I mean, I'm seeing some of these dudes getting opportunities, and I'm like, I'd line up to get Preston Spratt.
I mean, it's not a shocker. He's won more games than John Calipari has in that state in the last 4 years.
Right.
I mean, and I don't want to hear, it's the competition. Yeah, it's the competition, but let's be honest. He still plays a bunch of Power 5, Power 6 teams. He gets good players, and they buy into what he's selling. And also, think about this. Teams like Auburn are taking his best guys like Broome, and Talon Cooper left to go to Minnesota. And they were without their best player too, who it was injured preseason. So who knows how good that could have been a 30-win team. You know what I'm saying?
They were a 30-win team. Yeah, I mean they were. I mean they're really good. I mean, I frankly looking at those two games, I think Duquesne is a little bit more athletic, but I thought Morehead was a better team.
Yeah, I think if Morehead and Duquesne played 10 times, Morehead probably wins 6 of them. But yeah, so with that being said, obviously it was huge to get past Morehead State. And, we were joking about this I don't know if you guys watched the DJ Richardson episode. If not, it's available. We had DJ come on and talk, and he was telling us about his March Madness experience and then what the players should be going through and what we should expect. But we were kind of like saying we never really get that break where, the double-digit seed wins. Illinois always gets they get a tough draw or they get a tough team and even though I don't think that would have been BYU this year, I think it would have been a whole lot closer game with BYU in the second round. I think Duquesne, who had been on a hot streak, had been just their luck ran out. Let's just be honest. They were a 25-11 team who was like a 16-11 team. Okay.
They'd won 9 in a row and 16 of their 19.
And
And
they
I
just
think
played out of their minds for like a month, and it was time they looked like the sixth best team in the A10 on Sunday. And
well,
Illinois just it's asserted its dominance, its physicality, and is as good as Duquesne's defense is, which top 25 nationally. I think that plays into Illinois' favor too, because that's a nice little that's a nice little warm up for Iowa State Thursday. Because Duquesne's got guys they focus defensively. They're physically about the same size. They have bigs that are about 6'9". And I actually think their guards are bigger on Duquesne than Iowa State. They do play a little bit different with their trapping and stuff, but we'll dive into Iowa State here in a little bit. But just how fun was it though? And I got to be honest, though, Kev, it was shocking to me in the sense of like at halftime, it hadn't set in yet that they were going to the Sweet 16, but it kind of felt like it. And I didn't even almost know what to do with myself because I was waiting and thinking we were going to have a nail biter, and I was ready to just, be excited when that final bell hit, buzzer went off. But halfway through the second half, they're up 26, and I'm like, I don't even know how to feel about this. Like, I'm happy, but it was like there was no nerves, no anxiety. No, normally those moments are so nerve-wracking, but Illinois just took care of business early and buried them. And I know that their big talking point before the game was bury them early, and they did that. You don't want to give them belief, and you could tell early second half that it was gone.
Yeah, I called my mom actually at halftime and just chatted with her a little bit before my girls went to bed, and it was just an opportunity. Like, hey, I didn't really feel like watching much of the halftime shows. I normally don't, and it was just kind of, hey, like we got this thing on cruise control, and this is pretty cool. I said this on the show with DJ Richardson, and I'll share it again, is I think that Illinois is a very, very, very difficult team to scout in one day.
I agree, Big Ten huddle.
Yeah. This is the number one offense efficiency team in the country for the season. We've had to put all these parameters since January 1st, since February 1st, or whatever. We're the number one efficient offense, according to KenPom, in the nation. And when you get one day to scout for Illinois, that is going to be very, very difficult. Like we talked to DJ, when you got that one day in there, it's not about scouting, really. It's about let's do what we do. And what we do is better than what anybody else in the country does from an offensive standpoint. And it reared its head. We went out and hung 50 on them, and the game was over. What I did like is I like the defensive intensity. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I think that's going to be obviously a key for the game against Iowa State. But there's a couple things that really happened. First of all, we got kind of a no-show for Quincy Guerrier in game one. He came back with 10 points, 6 rebounds in game two. That was really nice there. And one guy who, I thought Ty Rogers played really a lot better in the Duquesne game than he did against Morehead State. But one guy who I think is probably being overlooked to the way he played, because he didn't really fill the stat sheet, but I thought Justin Harmon was phenomenal on defense in both games. I thought Justin Harmon played his tail off defensively. And Lord knows we want that guy to be able to put the ball in the bucket because he can get a heater going. He's 40 for 44 from a free throw line this season or something like that. He is automatic at the line. He's a good defender. I would really like to. I'd like to see him step up, maybe make a bucket or two, because if he can get going, that can really change the whole dynamic of this team. But going back to the Duquesne game, what really changed the whole fundamental of that game is Coleman Hawkins hits 3 threes in the first half, and they have to extend their defense to 5 out, which opened huge driving lanes for Terrence Shannon. That's possible to replicate that. I really felt that I called it in some forums. I felt that the Morehead game was going to be a dang game, and it was. I felt that this. I think that there's an opportunity here. I don't think there's I don't think this is necessarily a dang game against Iowa State.
Do you know what Brian Ducey, Kevin?
Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah, Brian's watching, man. He's putting down some? What do you got? Whiskey? What do you got? Tennessee whiskey?
Yeah, a little Elijah Craig, 94.
Well, thanks for watching, Brian. I don't know if this is your first time watching us live, but we appreciate it. I'm sure you've heard your brother babble on about Illini sports most of his life.
Yeah, Brian babbles on. Brian has actually got a really cool bowling podcast. So if any of you guys out there are into bowling, it's called Dog Tags Bowling. A bunch of veterans, military veterans that talk. Nope, he's saying nope. He changed it, I guess. Whatever. I can't keep up, man. But Brian is a phenomenal bowler, great athlete.
Talk once in a while, man. That'd be neat.
Yeah, we do. We just don't talk about that. So.
Oh goodness. Go ahead, finish on about the end of the Duquesne game where you're telling everybody.
I don't think this is a Dane game. I don't think this is a game where I don't think Iowa State, with the way that they post trap, with the way they run, I think we want to spread them out in open driving lanes for our guys.
No way in hell. I'm just going to be honest. No way in hell am I looking past Iowa State.
No, I don't think anybody is looking past Iowa State at all. I think Iowa State, we're going to have to come up with something. I just don't think it's a Dane game, and he's been phenomenal. I think Dane can come in and do some things, but with how fast and hard they post trap, I think he can come in and do some potentially cause some turnovers that we're going to want to try to avoid. But I think Dane can certainly come in, provide some defense and some rebounding. But I don't think this is going to be a game where he goes 5 for 5 from the field and has 11 points or something like that. I think he'll contribute.
And there's a big reason why, okay? And we're going to delve into the Iowa State preview here in a minute, is because Iowa State's going to trap him as severely and fast as they can. And he's going to have to get that ball out of his hands. I've been watching a lot of film on them, and like the moment guys catch that ball, they force them to the baseline, they trap, and of course the skip out, the skip pass is always there, but you got to find the right guy. And they make it tough on teams. If it was so easy, there's a reason that they're 27-8 or something. It's 28-7.
Yeah,
is because it's not that easy. But one team that did a very good job of it was BYU. BYU almost beat them twice. They beat them up in Provo, and then they literally blew the game in Ames.
Yeah, so Baylor gave them a game. The teams with really good offenses, Texas A&M beat them early in the season. Teams with really good offenses seem to give them some problems because, listen, they're not that good offensively. They're not.
Lipsy does a lot of one-on-one, and Gilbert does one-on-one as well. And Gilbert shoots like 65% of his shots at the rim.
At the rim, yeah.
So I'm thinking Shannon on Gilbert.
Or Rogers.
Yeah, or Rogers on Lipsy. Either one. They're both bigger and stronger than both of them. So that's one. But I know Illinois is going to have an advantage big time with Coleman Hawkins, with Bob Jones. I know Iowa State fans have been reading all their boards, and they're already saying Bob Jones is going to have a tough time with Hawkins because he's going to have to stay out there on him. And that means that's taking away their big rim protector and shot blocker and a guy that they use to trap a lot.
And it's a team that doesn't rebound very well either. So if you're going to pull a big away from the glass, that's going to make a difference. So where I think Illinois really is going to have to win this game, and I think Illinois is going to have to win this game on the glass. I think Illinois is going to have to win this game at the free throw line. Illinois is a better free throw shooting team by about 5%. They're only a 70% free throw shooting team. That's a big difference. And they have a 1 rebound per game margin. I think Illinois is 11. I mean, they're like in the 130th ranking of rebound margin in the country, and Illinois is top 15, I think. So this is where Illinois is going to have to get them on the glass. Illinois is going to have to protect the basketball and hammer the glass. Because they're going to try to force a lot of turnovers. We're going to have some turnovers, which is going to lead to easy buckets for them. We want to keep them in the half court as much as possible.
Now, before we went about half in on it. I want to finish it towards the end of the show because I think that'll be the most important thing. But just finishing up with the weekend of Illinois making the Sweet 16, I think it's just mind-blowing, too, to many people that it's been almost 2 decades since this program's went. Like, everybody's shocked to hear that. And, Kev, what do you make of – I don't know if you saw Big Cat from Barstool said that Jay Wright is the one who went up to Brad Underwood and said, hey, you need to use Marcus Damask and use him like I used Jalen Brunson, because he called – the CBS game in Knoxville when they lost to Tennessee. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you do remember, he wasn't really using that to his advantage yet. Because he went off against FAU the game before, but remember, he had like 3 threes in that game. He was just he was driving to the rim and finishing, but he really wasn't dominating posting up.
Yeah, it wasn't the focal point of our offense, and I think all these things had like this perfect perfect coincidental things that ran in there together, because the next game that we had against a Power 6 opponent was against Missouri after Tennessee, and then we had the Shannon suspension. And so really, I think that the suspension actually opened up the opportunity for us to do that and make it a focal point of running through Marcus. I read the article. I thought it was phenomenal. I've always been a Jay Wright fan. Not only is that dude like cool as a cucumber and have the best suits, but he is a phenomenal basketball coach. There's a reason he won 2 titles at Nova. And I'm glad he's gone from Nova because he stops taking guys like Jalen Brunson away from us. But yeah, I think the fact that, like, once again, it shows that Brad Underwood is willing to adjust and change. And not only that, but like somebody said, Tyler Underwood deserves a lot of credit here. He does as well. Tyler Underwood has been watching. I don't know the level of depth or involvement, but like with teams like the Thunder and how they're running their offense, and we're running very pro sets, which makes it, and we can do that because of Coleman Hawkins, folks. This is a big thing. I know a lot of people who watch the NBA game like, oh, they don't play defense in the NBA game. It's really hard to play defense in the NBA with help defense and clog the lane when you've got 5 guys on the floor that can shoot from 25 feet, and that shot from 25 feet is worth an extra point. So it opens driving lanes. That's why there's so many driving opportunities in the NBA as opposed to the college game that gets clogged, because a lot of times in the college game, when you think about it, when Dane is in the game with Ty Rodgers, well, you literally have 2 guys who can't take a shot away from the basket. So that allows defenses to sag. Not many teams have what we have when we can put 5 guys on the floor at a certain point in time, and you have to respect all of them out to the 3-point line. And when you do that, you get a performance like Terrence had, especially against Duquesne, where we were seeing middle of the lane drives and dunks in traffic that we really hadn't seen all that much this year from him. Obviously, it was a lot of drives, but a lot of times he's getting fouled. I mean, he's getting up there and getting a 2-hand poke in the lane because they're so spread out. And it'll be interesting to see what we can do against Iowa State there. It'd be really good for Terrence to knock down a couple triples too. I don't know why. I got this weird feeling we're going to see a Terrence UCLA breakout. Like, just get
oh my goodness. On that stage, that'd be so good for him, because let me just transition to, as we delve. I'm going to talk about Terrence, and we're going to go to Brad, and then we're going to finish up with Iowa State. But it's just the fact that people have had Terrence not on any of the first 3 All-American teams. It's just, I just can't even, you know what I mean? Like, when you see guys who have no bias, or like Rafael Davis saying Terrence Shannon and Zach Edey, the 2 best players in college basketball.
Terrence Oglesby said it on field of 68 immediately when they started talking about Terrence Shannon. He said All-American.
And what did they vote? What field of 68 vote Shannon?
The 3rd team.
Yeah. So again, that's a joke. Okay. And I called Mike DeCourcy out on it, and he loves to always respond to people. He didn't respond to me on that.
Mike's a pretty nice guy.
Mike is a nice guy, but Mike knows why he didn't put Terrence Shannon on that.
I bet you put Brandon Miller on it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I wanted people to at least answer for themselves, because if you're going to vote, don't like come on, man. Like, I don't want to hear he's only played good the last few games. No, the last month he's averaged 26 points a game. Let's just keep it real. The last 5 games, he's averaged 31. He's
averaging 23 points per game on the season.
I know, it's like it's just ridiculous. And Jeff Borzello, ESPN, didn't have Shannon as an All-American, so I called him out too. And it's just like, you shouldn't give people like that a voice or a vote if you can't even explain yourself, because we know why they didn't put it. I just wanted to see if they have cojones.
Come out and say it.
Yeah, just have the cojones, let them hang a little, and come out and say it. I just wanted to hear it. They won't do it though, because they know it's not politically correct, and they know that they would not be held. Credibility would not be there anymore, because it's a joke. But anyway, yeah, I could see Northwestern or from last year, Northwestern. Shannon went crazy in the second half, or a UCLA type of a game in Boston against Illinois, against Iowa State. Obviously, we would love it, but I think for Shannon, he's just a man possessed right now. You can just see that look in his eyes. And when Duquesne's band, when they were down 20, was chanting "No means no," he's just looking at him like, okay. He's like, I got you.
I think he shoots better from the free throw line when that happens. I think when teams don't do it, he's like, oh, well, he's waiting on it.
Yeah, like he's money when they say it.
Yeah.
But really quick, Terrence Shannon has broken the Illinois all-time single-season scoring record. Is it safe to say, Kevin, that Terrence Shannon has had the best single season in Illinois history?
Yep.
Okay. Because we were kind of up. But I thought so. You were kind of there, but weren't sure. You just needed to get over the hump. He's destroyed that now.
I mean, I think that what Iowa was able to do, and also Iowa was able to do in such big moments, it was really difficult to say because Iowa was such a clutch performer. Iowa also like 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I think those numbers are both higher than Terrence Shannon. But the fact is that Terrence Shannon and how he affects the game is he literally has 1-on-4 fast breaks that he wins consistently. It just changes the dynamic of the game. And he is, while Io was a really good defender at Illinois, I think Terrence is better. I think Terrence sometimes gets tired and his defense will lack sometimes, but you can give him some grace.
He's carrying about 20 more pounds, so yeah. But I will tell you, if people want to know, is that going to translate into the league? Well, let's look at Io. How does he translate those fast breaks? How many times does he get to the bucket for layups? I don't know.
Yeah. Io is now being turned loose, and you're seeing what's happening. He's averaging, I think, 17 points a game in the month of March, 15 in the month of February, 13 in January. So yeah, Billy Donovan's allowing him to go, and he's proving he is a legit NBA basketball player. And I think Terrence will be. I think Terrence will be a very highly effective NBA basketball player.
I don't think he'll just be a 3-and-D guy either. I think
he could be a guy average 18, 19, 20 points a game in the NBA.
Yeah. I agree with that. Now I'm going to switch the title here because I think he deserves it. Everybody, all those haters, all the Brad haters on your haterade, you can get down on your hands and knees and you can give the man his flowers. Brad Underwood deserves them, Kev. I think, obviously Bill Self was only at Illinois for 3 years, so you can't say Brad Underwood has done more than Bill Self did in 3 years. But what Brad has done, I think, for this program and to lift it back to where it is now, he has done more totality-wise than Bill Self ever did. But that's only because Bill Self only was coaching 3 years. But
you're also talking about the best coach in college basketball, in my opinion. So, that's –
yeah.
When we mention him in the same breath, it's pretty impressive. So.
Yeah, so what Brad Underwood has done – so I know a lot of you guys hear it, and the most Big Ten wins, regular season, tournament, and Big Ten tournament play, okay? 3 Big Ten titles, tied for the most in that 5-year stretch.
Should be 4.
Yep, should be 4. But it's 3 Big Ten titles in 4 years. But in that 5-year stretch, he's tied for first in the 5 years. And taking Illinois to its first Sweet 16 in 2 decades.
Yeah, I want to challenge some things here. Like there's some Illinois fans that are going to move the goalposts. There's some, and I don't care about what Purdue fans or Michigan fans or what other jackwagons say. I don't really give a shit. They're going to be like, well, you played a 14 and 11 seed. Well, you played a 14 seed because you had a great regular season. And yeah, dude, teams get breaks in the NCAA tournament all the time. Like this is the last break we had was like 96, 97 when we got Chattanooga in the second round and blew it. Like that's almost 30 years ago, guys. Like this was nice. Illinois got a break and they took advantage of it. Where we didn't get a break was getting a team from our own state that was a top 10 KenPom team. Where we didn't get a break was getting Houston as a 5 seed, which was the number 5 KenPom team. Where we didn't get a break was catching Kansas in the second round back in the day. Where we didn't get a break was Kadari Kaji knocking the ball out of bounds in college basketball, changing the rules that you can go to a monitor to check for a game. Like this team has been struck with so much bad luck over the years that, yeah, hey, we took advantage of it and we got a little bit of luck. Hey, but I'll tell you what, we didn't get any luck here. The number 1 team in KenPom is UConn. The number 4 team in KenPom is Auburn. They were in the same region. They're gone. The number 7 team in KenPom is Iowa State. And the number 10 team is Illinois. We got 4 of the top 10 teams in KenPom in one region. And there's 2 of them in front of us, 7 and 1. So there's no breaks from here on out. but it's a little bit of house money, dude. Brad Underwood's earned it. He can win in March. Honestly, I think there's a level of freeing from him that I think you'll see in the Iowa State game that'll help. But dude, Brad Underwood deserves all the credit in the world for revitalizing the program. If you talk to people in the know, and I don't talk to people in the know, I talk to people that are in the know, that are connected with people in the know, that Illinois is extremely attractive right now in the transfer portal. Like transfer portal guys are portaling and they're looking at Illinois. Why? Because we play an NBA style of basketball. We play a really up-tempo style of basketball. Brad gives people the reins. What did Jeremiah Fear's dad say about him? He's like, he lets him play. Yep. He said the same thing about Jeremy. That's one of the reasons why Jeremy was interested in Illinois. He's like, Brad lets him go, but he knew what Jeremiah was better fitted for Illinois than Jeremy. And if I got the names mixed up, forgive me.
Yeah, Jeremiah is the one that's coming to Illinois. Jeremy's the one at Michigan State. Yes, but anyway, I was going to say Purdue fans don't have any right to talk about breaks. Okay, when you lose to a 16 seed, and then the year before you lose to a 15 seed, I don't want to hear, oh, Illinois only got there because they played a 14 and an 11. Okay.
Breaks. Does anybody go back to Bruce Weber and say your Elite Eight at Kansas State doesn't count because you played a 16 seed in the second round? No. I mean, what about was it FAU or San Diego State last year that got Fairleigh Dickinson in the second round? Did they discredit their Final Four because they played a 16 seed in the second round?
It was FAU.
Yeah, FAU. Like, is Dusty May's Final Four not worth it now because he played a 16 seed in the second round? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, you can't use that logic because then every year you take away someone's Final Four, right? You're like, sorry, you played a 16 seed. Oh,
Well, San Diego State did it again. San Diego State again this year. They got a 13 and a 12, and they're like,
yep. And they've done that three of their 4 times they've made the Sweet 16. They beat double-digit seeds
in the first 2 games. Absolutely. So they beat a 12 and a 13. Good on them. Hey, win the game you're supposed to.
That's right. What that shows is you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Brad Underwood has lost 1 game at Illinois as a favorite in the NCAA tournament. And that's what has haunted him to this point. He has yet to win a game at Illinois as an underdog in the NCAA tournament. Could that change change Thursday?
I was going to say that changes Thursday, right? They're 1.5 point, right?
It started at 2.5. It's been bet down to 1.5. It tells you the sharps of the early money's coming in on Illinois.
Yeah. Yep. And I want everybody to know this. Me and Kev, we're talking. Yes, I think everyone wants to see Illinois, UConn in the Elite Eight. Everybody does.
No, I don't. I want to see San Diego State.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If someone were to say,
and that'd be a problem. Ledee is a big boy. That'd be a problem.
Yeah, I'd rather play San Diego State by a little bit for sure. Yeah. I think matchup wise is good, but I think everybody though for spotlight for the team everybody's picking to win it against. Many people think Illinois and Purdue and maybe are the only teams who can really beat UConn. They think that just because when you got a guy like Shannon who can give you a 40-piece, whenever extra crispy whenever he feels like it.
I think to beat a team like UConn, you have to know who you are and you have to do something exceptionally well. Illinois plays offense exceptionally well. Iowa State as a team, I think, is one of those teams that could beat them because Iowa State plays defense exceptionally well. Purdue is one of those teams because Purdue not only plays offense exceptionally well, they play defense exceptionally well, and they have the great equalizer and the best player in college basketball in Zach Edey.
Klingen's not going to be dominating the post with Edey there. So.
No, but I would love to. I mean,
I want to see that, right?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing that as a national championship game other than having to deal with the jackwagon Purdue fans. But I'd like to see those two go at it. I'd like to see if a 7'2" Klingen at 270 pounds can give Zach Edey some problems or not. So.
Yep, and I also think too that I don't want people to take. Well, Northwestern couldn't deal with it, and they beat Purdue. Let's not. Okay, they were without 2 key players. All right, Ty Berry was their second best scorer. Langborn was their second best shooter, but Berry was their second best scorer, and then Nicholson, big dude, 7 foot, 270 pounds. He's a load down there.
And a good shot blocker, good rim protector. Ty Berry is their second best athlete, or probably their best athlete, excuse me.
Anybody thinks that Nicholson wouldn't have given Klingen problems in the post defensively, he would have.
It would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have been just having his way in the post scoring. It would have been maybe 8 points in 12.
I mean, those two guys don't get hurt. I mean, Northwestern's probably a 5 seed. I mean, that's just really hurt him.
So people think, oh, well, they got rid of Northwestern easily. Why does Illinois think? Well, because let me tell you, Illinois is healthy. Illinois battled and played Zach Edey twice this year. They're not going to be fazed by a guy 2 inches shorter, who isn't as talented as Zach Edey. I think
he's certainly not the offensive player. He's a much better defensive player in my mind.
Yes,
but Zach Edey still definitely impacts the game defensively. The difference is that, Alex Caravan, Cam Spencer, Tristan Newton, Stephon Castle that they have around them. They're not very deep, though. Not very deep.
Yep, you're getting into some foul trouble. We've seen Cam Spencer. He didn't have success against Illinois, but when you've got those guys around him, it makes it difficult. But anyway, I digress. At the end of the day, when you're in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, there's no easy games. So whether it's San Diego State or UConn, Illinois knows its task, its objective. I'm happy personally. It's the 9:00 game. I know many people are not happy, but I am because I'm a night owl and I like to know that it's the final game of the night. And I don't have to worry about all the other games, and I can just say, this is it.
Am I being an old man here, or did I thought that I thought the Sweet 16 games started at 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night. I have a work meeting that runs up until 5:30 on Thursday, and I was like, man, I hope we're not the early game because I'm gonna miss it. But these don't start till 7:30. This game is tipping off at 10 p.m. local time.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be 10:30 local time. That is ridiculous. That's just stupid.
They'll be playing into Friday morning, so.
Hey, we can say we made it to Friday.
Yeah, I can say no matter what, we played in the Friday game. So the first game does tip off at 6:05 Central Time.
Oh, okay.
That's the one in LA that is 4 o'clock West Coast.
Yeah, it makes a ton of freaking sense.
Yeah, and then so the 6:30 tip for UConn is the 7:30 local time. And I'm telling you, the NCAA March Madness, they've gone screwy with their times, and I wish I should download the soundbite from Dan Hurley on this, but
that was funny.
I love how he thinks the NCAA committee screwing their team.
They did.
Because I don't know, man. You can't complain about the first 2 rounds though.
Dude, I would rather be playing North Carolina right now than Iowa State. I'd rather be playing Tennessee, I think, than Iowa State right now. I would rather be
Illinois,
Purdue, North Carolina. Every other region is so much easier than the East region. It's not. I'm not. Dude, go look at the KenPom rankings. And by the way, you can look at the KenPom rankings and look at where the teams are now, and you can't say that KenPom isn't right. I mean, it's insane. It's just the East. The East was loaded.
I love hearing him give Illinois credit though.
He did.
He said
secondarily.
He only said something about Illinois, about how they're playing right now. He didn't say anything about. He goes giving us Auburn as a 4, San Diego State as a 5. He said Iowa State is a 2, and Illinois the 3 with how they're playing right now. I mean, he was just he's like, oh, they know what they're up to, and then he goes, by the way, you guys got the early game Thursday. He was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "They knew."
I dig it, man. The guy's finding a way to motivate his team so they don't get lackadaisical. It's really hard to win back to back. It's the reason the last time team to do it was Billy Donovan's Florida Gators.
And did you hear how he talks to the team when he goes, "Keep on destroying these teams." He's like, "Keep on burying them. Keep on annihilating them." So I'm hoping that motivates some other teams when they play UConn. I hope San Diego State has a fire up their ass when they play.
Does Kentucky have enough money to get Danny Hurley?
Wow, would he leave UConn?
I think so. I think he's a Northeasterner through and through.
Yeah, check it out. Says Brad is definitely going to different lineups and tactics if the Illini get another shot at Purdue.
That's way down the road.
Yeah, we're not talking about something that'll happen.
We're not talking about 2 weeks from tonight yet.
Yeah, let's focus on Iowa State now. So let's transition to that before we get to our final thoughts. So we discussed a lot about how Iowa State goes about this. So for you fans who've never watched them or only a little bit, basically
With Houston.
Marcus Damask is going to get double teamed the moment about 2 seconds after he crosses half court, and that happens about every possession. So he's going to have to initially be ready to get rid of it, and they're going to go double whoever the hell catches it on the other side. And usually there's always at least one guy open, but they are very good at the coverage.
Rotational defense is really tough. It's really
so there's always going to be a guy open. Are you going to find him? And can you get it to him is the question. And BYU did a very good job of that. And they the only reason that they lost that game in Ames was because they went cold in the second half. They couldn't hit an open three. Iowa State was losing by like 15 to BYU at half at home. And then second half, they couldn't make shots. Iowa State started making their shots. But Iowa State's not going to be some physically domineering, imposing team for Illinois. They're very aggressive. They got some athletic pieces. Terrence Lipsey's their guy that gets them going. I've watched enough Iowa State games to know that he's like a 6'1". He's an undersized guard. He's quick. He's had shoulder issues, though, and I think he may have re-aggravated that against Washington State. He didn't want to even use his left a little bit, but he's very shifty. He shoots 39% from deep. He only shot 20% last year, so he's a guy that's really worked on his game. There's times that he will go one-on-one if he feels like nothing's moving. But Gilbert, who's their best defender, is going to be a guy that I can imagine we'll see on Terrence Shannon.
Yeah, he transferred from UNLV. We were interested in him a little bit.
Yep, 62% of his shots come from the hoop, the lane.
Pretty athletic kid, yeah.
And then what's that? Malahovic.
Yep, 6'9", 6'10" kid, can stroke it.
Who we offered, who went to Phenom University, where Brandon Pajimski was his AAU squad. He's a Milwaukee type kid. He's a guy that, from what I've been reading and seeing, if you get someone up on him, he struggles.
Yeah.
But you leave him open and you let him make his first one or two. He's a guy. He's a go-to piece for them.
Comes off the bench. Yeah.
Yep. Then they've got, like I said, Bob Jones, and you're looking
King.
Yep.
Bouncy guy.
Bouncy. Yeah. They like to attack the glass and throw lobs to him. I watched the South Dakota State game. Man, they had 2 or 3 lobs early that I'm shocked didn't put South Dakota State out of the game, but they crawled back into it. So,
and then Curtis Jones, a sharpshooter. I think Curtis Jones has been coming off the bench. I'm not sure if he's starting now or not. Him or Milosevic come off the bench, but 6'5" guard, can shoot it.
Yeah, he's their best. He's their best shooter. Yep,
he is their best shooter. Yep.
So again, I think Illinois' depth should help them with this, attacking the glass, as you said. I think it's a matchup that Illinois can win. I know you said you preferred Tennessee or North Carolina. I think matchups make the games, as you said. And while they are the number 1 rated defense, it's a one-game situation. We've seen Iowa State struggle with teams that score. To me, it's going to boil down to this. Are you going to give up 15? Are you going to turn the ball over 15 times that turn into 25 Iowa State points? Because if you do that, you're going to have to put yourself behind the 8 ball, and you're really going to struggle to win the game.
Yeah, we're gonna turn the ball over probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 to 15 times. Which is a little bit higher than the season average. What we can't have is that number trickle into the high teens to the 20s. Right?
But you can't have them turn into 25 points. That's the problem. That's the thing.
Right. Here's the thing for me, okay? You can't, if you're at this point in the season, you can't crank up the offensive switch. You can have a guy who gets hot. You can have a guy who just catches a torch, right? And normally teams can adjust to that unless you're going nuclear and that shit happens, you tip your cap, right? You can't ramp up offense by intensity. Actually, as a matter of fact, offensive intensity, unless you're talking about cutting, can be a bad thing because then guys force shots. Offense has to kind of come natural. And offense is more of an art, right? You can crank that shit up defensively, because defense is, if you're looking at defense, there's three parts of defense, right? Let's just take the actual like size and athletes out of it. But if we're talking about it, it's effort, scheme, and communication. And I would say effort probably makes up over 50% of that, right? And then you have scheme and communication. Iowa State has all three in spades on the defensive end. Illinois sometimes lacks a little bit of effort. And I think that there's a level of this that we can ratchet that level of defense up. I'm not necessarily looking for our offense to come in here, and I see some predictions coming in. I don't think we need to score 80 points to win. I think we need to ratchet up the defense and take, frankly, a pretty pedestrian offense and keep them in the 60s to low 70s. We can win this game. And so, Illinois hasn't went off against top defenses all year. Yeah, well, we put 80 on Michigan State. I mean, that's a top 15. We hung 80 on Rutgers. That's a top 10 defensive team. We just hung 80 on Duquesne. It's top 25. But this is a little bit different. Illinois is going to be able to score. Illinois is going to find ways to score. We have guys who can make tough shots. Can we ratchet up the defense enough to make it hard on Iowa State? And Iowa State is going to do some things that make it difficult for us on defense. Number one is they have some quick guards that like to smaller guards, and we can get beat there. And if we can shut that off, we'll be fine. But here's the thing. Like, listen, they average 33 rebounds a game. I think Illinois is like 39 or 40. This is the number one defense in the country. They force a lot of misses, don't they? Shouldn't they get more rebounds? Well, then you start looking at it. It's actually they do force misses, but they force turnovers. So we've got to be really solid with the ball, because their field goal percentage defense is pretty good, but it's not where they change the game by not allowing you to get shots up.
It's those live ball pick six turnovers. They get quite a bit of them.
And everybody said that was the worry about Duquesne, and
yeah,
I don't remember much of that. I really don't.
I saw some people on here talking, but I also had some people messaging me, and we were chatting that we don't necessarily have to pass it a ton with the offense we run, but Iowa State is going to double Damask and guys trying to back. They force those passes.
Well, Damask's assists in the last 4 games, 10, 10, 8, 6.
And I can tell you this.
No. It was some 7, 7, 10, 7, something like that.
What they're not going to want to do is try to double Coleman, because let me tell you, he'll roast them.
Yeah.
And remember against Michigan State for that 5-minute stretch where he was just passing, just nailing in East Lansing, where he was backing them down and just sniping them. It's just like, who's open? Oh, you're in the corner. Terrence up top. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I think you might see that being utilized.
I do too. I think that and I think that Brad is going to have to possibly adjust if they put some pressure on the ball. I'd like to put anybody who's like not Lipsy or Gilbert that's guarding, and let Coleman bring the ball up the floor. Maybe it's, let Ty bring the ball up the floor some. We will. I think this is a game where, man, if I'm looking for an X factor for Illinois, Quincy Guerrier, got to step up, man. You're going to have to knock down those shots when you get the opportunity. You're going to have to guard your ass off. You're going to have to hit the glass, dude. We need you. You old man. Like,
yeah, I know. Paging Quincy Guerrier, no doubt.
Yeah, dude, I thought he was really effective in the Duquesne game, but that's Duquesne. So, he had 28 against was it Tennessee, or 22 against Tennessee, 28 against Missouri. Like, he can step up, man, and he can hit some shots. He can rebound. He can put the ball on the floor. Dude, Iowa State would love to have Quincy Guerrier. Here's the thing, dude. We're the more talented team, dude. It's just they're really cohesive in their defensive sets. TJ Otzelberger is a freaking hell of a coach. He's a hell of a coach.
I don't think he can get a tighter shirt, but yeah, I agree.
Hey, man, guys fit.
Brian, your brother said podcast over because you ran out of booze. So
he's wrong. I got a little swallow in here still left, so it's all right.
All right. Well, we got enough time for final thoughts. Everybody's favorite portion of the show, because it's the end. So I'll go first and give Kev a chance to get it going. Maybe he's got some golf. I don't know.
Yeah, that's totally what I'm going to talk about.
And by the way, your brother said the bowling podcast is still a thing.
Yeah, Dog Tags Bowling. He was saying, nope, that this isn't his first time listening, but long time listener, first time caller. So appreciate Appreciate Bro Deuce chiming in. So,
final thoughts. I think this is the start. Well, we're in the middle, but really the start of a nice long decade here of Brad Underwood probably finishing up his. I think he's got about 10 more in him. He probably coached till he's 70. Of just Illinois not just being relevant again, but of, as Kev alluded to a little bit earlier, playing in the second weekend, playing in big games that really matter. And but just enjoy it for a little bit, man, because when 2 decades of your life go by and you forgot almost how it felt, you take that stuff for granted. And, I know it's just a game. A lot has changed since the last Sweet 16. I was a senior in MacArthur. I'm now a father of 2 children. I'm in my mid-30s. Like, so much has happened. But you don't take that stuff for granted, because I think me and Kev did take it for granted. We're just like, we're Illinois. This is what we do. We were top 12, top winningest team of all time probably back then. We faded up to the 15 to 20 range, probably, I think now. But Brad's got it back. It's a sexy destination. It's the fan base has always been here. And just enjoy it. And no matter what happens this week, it's just icing on the cake, because nobody thought this team was going to make it here. Everybody, most of the fan base was doubting it was going to happen. But I think this team could make a Final Four. And if they don't, that doesn't make them a failure. Just remember, the 3rd winningest team in the history of Illinois basketball. This team right here. 28 wins, Sweet 16, Big Ten title. Only 3 teams have won more than this team. So enjoy this team. Could be the last time we see Terrence Shannon Jr. play. But it might not be the last time we see Marcus Damask play. Kev?
If we have the show on Sunday night and we're in the Final Four, we're going to win the national championship. This is so different from 2005. In 2005, we were the poster children of, we were the face of college basketball. D. Brown on Sports Illustrated at Purdue, popping the jersey, the 3-headed monster. Like, we were, undefeated for most of the season. We were such a fun team. Everybody loved us. And now, like, guys all know, I listen to a lot of the podcasts, even those that are pure assholes to us. I still listen to the podcast because I want to hear, because when they do talk basketball, I want to hear about it. They don't want to talk about us, dude. They don't want to talk about Illinois at all. Like, we kind of get swept under the rug, and it's because of the Terrence Shannon situation. It's because people aren't doing their homework. People aren't willing to read up on this. And people have a really fake facade about who they really are, and it comes to show in a situation like this. And
Give me an example, Kev. Who just doesn't want to talk about Illinois?
Oh man, Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander don't. Like, they want to. The CBS doesn't. CBS Sports, the March Madness breakdown show. They just don't want to talk about us. Now, maybe it's because we played Duquesne and Morehead State. Maybe because we played 2-11 but it definitely feels that way to me. And they don't want to talk about Illinois because they have to bring up the situation with Terrence Shannon. Like I said, and they're unwilling to educate themselves on it. And frankly, these guys try to cast themselves as these white. I'm going to say it. Fuck it. They try to cast themselves as these white heroes to the black man's cause, but want to convict a black man in the court of public opinion before shit goes real. I'm sorry, I got a problem with that. I call that fucking hypocrisy. And that's exactly what it is. It's hypocrisy. And so here's the thing. We're the villains. And frankly, I kind of like it. I've never really been a fan of a team that's the villain, right? I was too young in '85 to know if the Bears were the villain, but the Bears were really cool too. Like, they had the Super Bowl shuffle. Maybe Brian can chime in, but I think the world loved the Bears. They thought that was really cool. The Bears had never won anything before, but I've never been a fan of a team like the Patriots or the Yankees or the Red Sox or these teams, or Duke.
He's the quarterback known as.
Screw it. Let's be the villains. Let's own that shit. Let's own that shit and be the villains and run through this thing, dude. And it's completely fine. Just understand who we are. And frankly, as a Bears fan, I'm ready to be a villain too when we draft Caleb Williams and the whole world hates him and that dude wins Super Bowls. And I'm totally cool with that. The whole world hates us right now because they don't understand. They're not educated. They haven't read up shit on any of this stuff. Illinois. Absolutely, Chris Miller. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Like, embrace being the villain. By the way, I know, like, I communicate with all you guys on Twitter, and I know that, like, here's the thing, guys. I have to do this. Remind me if you see me doing it. We are not required to attend every argument we're invited to. Let the haters hate. The mute button's your friend. If you don't want to hear the nonsense, just move on. But we're going to be the villains. Let's own it. Let's win this damn thing.
And I can attest to that more than anybody because let me
damn right. This is the villain podcast.
I was about to say the villain, man. I have probably hundreds of messages that so on my DMs you send me some and I have to accept it so before I really read it, and I can kind of tell if it's a troll or not. But let me tell you, I get hundreds every month from people just, how dare you criticize someone with your past? How dare you have an opinion? Like, who do you think you are? So I mean, and guess what? How many of those do you think I actually respond to?
So maybe I want to answer a couple questions here for some of the people. You're exactly right, Ryan. Phil and Sean. Sean, no idea who the wide receiver is that got converted. Don't care. It's basketball season. Talk to me in 2 weeks. We'll talk spring game. Phil Garrison, and I love you, Sean. I just don't care about football right now. Phil, portal news. The big name today, Otega Owe.
And that was a guy we offered. He picked Oklahoma, right? Over.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Powerful guard, could kind of look a little bit like an amalgamation between Marcus Damask and Terrence Shannon. Like, he's not quite the athlete that Terrence is. He's a little bit better athlete than Marcus is. He's a little bit bulkier than Terrence. So he's a really good basketball player. His brother is a phenomenal NFL player, I think, for the Ravens. I don't know if
about the Mercer kid.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of them. I mean, there's just like, dude, I'm not worried about the portal either.
Yep.
I'm worried about Thursday, man. I'm worried about Thursday.
Phil, you should just be accepting and happy your Chiefs won the damn Super Bowl again, all right?
Jake Davis, yes.
And Carl Jefferson. You damn right that's how they sound in my head when I read them.
There's a big dude from, I think, oh my goodness, where's he from? Not Colorado State. There's a big, like, 6'10" guy. I saw Sturdy posted something about it, man. He's a stud. Like, he's a Coleman Hawkins replacement. Really, really phenomenal looking basketball player. But we'll get into all the portal stuff.
Let's not worry about next year's team, man. Like,
I'm worried about Thursday.
Yeah, I was about to say this episode is usually about who we getting in the portal. Guess what? The team's still playing. I know everybody's probably don't know what to do with themselves. They're like, the second weekend's here. Maybe let's talk the portal. You're like, no, let's talk Sweet 16. All right. So with that said, enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Swap me out.
Igor Milicic from Charlotte. ILL.
I.
Had to tell him.